to a brand new video, and I'm so excited to be here. It's been a very long time. It has been a hot minute since I've made a YouTube video, but I'm here right now and I'm so excited, especially about this video because it's been highly requested. So yeah, but before we get started, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you don't have your post notifications turned on, there's a little bell right next to that. Click it and you will be notified every single time I upload. So basically today's video is going to be about all my blogger influencer trip tips and tricks, how I get paid, how do you work with brands, what a media kit is, how to pitch to brands, and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get started. So one of the questions I got was how I got started. How do you become an influencer or blogger? Just to clear something up really quick, I would consider myself more of like an influencer rather than a blogger. Some people get all crazy if you use the word blogger and you don't have a blog or a website or something like that, whatever. So that's why I say more of an influencer. But I say blogger sometimes because more people understand what that is. Like if you go tell someone random like, hey, I'm a blogger, they're like, oh yeah, I know that is. Rather than, hey, I'm an influencer, they're like, what? Like, you know what I mean? So you can kind of use the blogger more loosely. So yeah. Just to get that out of the way. Some of the questions that somebody asked me was, how did I get started? And basically I want to say I started getting paid for my work about a year ago, so around this time last year. But before that, I was getting a lot of free products from brands and companies that would just kind of send me and ask me to review them, and I was like, sure, why not? Like, it was a free thing. I was getting PR, you know. I was so excited, which is great because I feel like it really helps you build your media kit, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Did a lot of stuff for free and just kind of did trade with companies and brands in the past, and I feel like that's really important, especially if you're just starting out like with your Instagram and you really want to be an influencer and kind of like grow your Instagram and kind of make this into a career in the future. Now you're probably like, well, what the hell is a media kit? I didn't know what it was either. So basically what a media kit is, just like in the real world, we have resumes, and it's basically like your skills, your job histories, abilities and education, stuff like that, right? So a media kit is very similar to that, and that's for like the social media world, and it's basically like an about you page. So for example, my media kit has a picture of me. It has a little intro that says, my name is Viveca Albarran, I'm a footwear lifestyle influencer, yada yada yada. And then my next part, I have like my stats, like how many followers I have, how many likes I get, my engagement, how many people come to my page a week, and then I have some pictures of work and brands that I worked with in the past. I have my rates, and I have my services. So now you're like, well, how do I make a media kit? You can go to Canva, and I'll link a picture of it right here. You can go to Canva, and there are so many templates that you can use. And now that you know what a media kit is, you can actually Google or YouTube a video of how do you make a media kit, and there's millions of videos. If you would like to see mine and like how I did my media kit, let me know and we can do a separate video about that. And like I said earlier, though, all those brands that I worked with doing like free stuff and just kind of doing reviews and doing trade with, that was great because it helped me build my media kit. For example, I worked with a soap company in the past and I did it for free. So when I was building my media kit, I was like, oh my God, now I need to think about all the brands that I've worked with that I got like all these free things from. So what I do personally for mine, and you don't have to there's no right or wrong way either to make a media kit, but what I do is I always get like the logo of the brand that I work with, and I have like a little section, and I put all the brands that I worked with there. That way when brands see it, they're like, oh wow, Viveca worked with Soap and Glory. Wow, she worked with Graco. Wow, she worked, you know what I mean? Now you're like, well, how much do I pay? Like, what do I offer? You know what I mean? All that stuff. So the next thing you're going to do is your rates. And like I said, we can kind of go more into depth about your media kit. There's tons of videos if you want me to see mine, like I can do that for you all. But just to talk about it briefly, you're gonna want to have rates, and basically what that is how much you charge per post. And the first thing you're gonna do is go ahead and go to Social Blue Books. That is a website where you connect your social media platforms. For example, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever platform you use, you connect that to Social Blue Books, and based off of your engagement, for example, in my case, I use more Instagram. So based off of your engagement, likes, comments, Social Blue Books pulls all of that, and it gives you a number of how much you should charge for an Instagram post. That's how you get your number. I'm just gonna be vague about it, but let's just say based off of like your whole Instagram, Social Blue Book says you should charge $10 a post. So then on your media kit, you'll go in under your rates. You're like, okay, so for an Instagram post, I'm gonna charge $10. For an Instagram story, I'm gonna charge $5. For an Instagram video, I'm gonna charge $20. But you kind of have a range of, and Social Blue Books would tell you what's a low number. So like the minimum you should charge is $5, but the most you can charge based off of your engagement, based off of your profile, is $25, if that makes sense. So you'll list how much you charge per service, and your services depend to you. What I kind of do is like Instagram posts, stories, Instagram video, stories with a swipe up, Instagram shout outs, just kind of stuff like that. Everybody's different though. There's, like I said, there's no right or wrong way to make a media kit, but that's just kind of what works for me. I kind of skipped over this, but whenever you're doing your media kit, especially if you're just starting out, you haven't even worked with brands, you don't have to include all of these things. You can simply include your picture of yourself, a little intro bio about you, how many followers you have, the services that you can offer, and you don't have to list rates because you've never really worked with brands, you can't really charge them. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend you do until you start building your portfolio, especially if you haven't worked with anybody in the past. You just kind of do the trade. I don't know if that was clear or not. So yeah, so now that you know what a media kit is, you can go create your own and connect your Instagram or connect whatever platform that you're using to Social Blue Books and kind of get that going. So the next question I got was, how do I get reached out by brands, or do I need to reach out to brands? So in my case, I kind of do both. At this point that I'm at, I feel like I get more brands that reach out to me, but I still reach out to brands because I just can't like sit around waiting for brands, you know, to hit me up. So if you are a micro influencer and no brands are reaching out, because most of the time they don't, they do, but obviously it's like more likely to happen to somebody with a bigger following, but they totally do because they reached out to me even before I had like 10K and whatever. When you're to a point where you're like, okay, I want to start getting paid for my work, I know how to work with brands, I've done some free stuff in the past. Sorry, mom life, if you hear Celine, she's eating her little Cheetos right now. But basically, what was I saying? Yeah, so now you're at a point where you're like, look, I want to start getting paid, I know how to work with brands, how do I get paid? So on my end, I've worked with quite a few brands and companies at this point that I kind of know like what to say and how to handle different situations. But for example, just say I get an email from this soap company and they're like, hi Viveca, we found you on Instagram, we would love to work with you, like we love your Instagram, we would like to give you this soap in exchange for an Instagram post, please feel free to ask me any questions, whatever, right? So then I see that email and I'm like, okay, the number one thing to catch in that email is exchange. So they said they would like to give me this soap in exchange for an Instagram post. When you see the word exchange, they don't want to pay you. Can they pay you? Probably. But brands are going to do anything not to pay you. If they can get it free and they're like, hey, we can give you a free product for a post, that works for them, right? But for me, I'm like, no, I need to get paid for my work. So if I saw the word exchange and all they want is an Instagram post, I'm going to respond and say, hi, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm super excited to be collaborating with y'all. Before we move forward, I kindly wanted to ask, do you all have a influencer or a collaborative budget? And basically what that is asking them like, hey, do you guys have a budget to play influencers or like a collab budget? And sometimes they'll reply yes, and sometimes they'll reply no. Let's just say we'll do both cases. If they say no, at the moment we actually don't. We're a smaller company. We don't have a big budget, but we could still give you the free product. If you're a micro influencer, you're just getting started, take that deal and say, yes, I would love to work. Obviously, it's up to you, but I'm saying take that deal and use that to build your media kit. If you're more on my end and you worked with brands and they say that yes, we do have a collaborative budget, please send over your media kit. That's where your media kit comes into play. So I send over my media kit, they see all my numbers. So then they say, okay, so I see that you charge $10 per Instagram post. We would like to move forward with that one Instagram post. And that's it. It's super simple. They'll either send you the product or sometimes you have to go buy the product and they kind of reimburse you. And then they will send you over a contract. When it comes to contracts, please read your contracts. And I may get ahead of myself because I'm sure if you're watching this, you're wanting to get started. But if you do ever get a contract, please make sure you read it thoroughly. Get someone else to read it for you as well, because sometimes these brands are kind of tricky. And sometimes they kind of get ownership of your photos and they can use them in other marketing when you can charge another fee for that. It's just read your contracts very carefully. So that's basically like how I would get paid. And most of the time, at least for me, I get paid PayPal. I do get some checks, like actual hard copy checks, which I kind of don't like, but it is what it is. Another thing you will learn when you are working with brands and getting paid is that, at least from like the work that I've done, minimum, I would say it takes 15 days for payment. They give you all these deadlines, like, hey, you need to post this at this time, this day, whatever. But then payment, it comes like a good 15 to 30 days later. And that's just how it works in this world. I don't know exactly why. Like I said, I don't know it all, but that's just kind of how it is. Which is kind of annoying, but I can't complain. So yeah, so that's pretty much how I get paid. So now you're like, well, how do I pitch myself to brands? Because obviously brands are not always going to reach out to you. You kind of have to be a go-getter and put yourself out there. So if you're going to be pitching yourself to a brand, basically what I kind of say is, hi, my name is Viveca Albarran. I'm a lifestyle influencer. Basically like my media kit, like in a little paragraph. So if I reach out to them, I'm just gonna say like, hi, my name is Viveca Albarran. I kindly wanted to reach out and ask if you all have any collaboration opportunities or sponsorship opportunities. I'd love to hear back from you. I'll attach my media kit, and then sometimes I reply and sometimes I don't. What I do and works for me is I send at least 10 emails a day, so minimum 10 emails to brands that I would love to work with, and sometimes I hear back and sometimes I don't. But it's just a great way to put yourself out there, because there's been several times that I've reached out and they've actually said, yeah, like, hey, we'd love to collaborate, and we kind of move forward and I get a brand deal that way, you know? Another way you can get paid and get brand deals is by using influencer platforms. So basically what an influencer platform is, it's this whole website set up where brands are already there and you just connect your social media platforms to that, and you can kind of search through campaigns, or they can reach out to you through that website. I hope I'm making this clear. But let's just say, for an example, just to make this, I just want to make sure you guys understand. The one that I always use is Aspire IQ. I basically make an account with Aspire IQ. I connect all my social media platforms that I would like to use and get paid for. And so now Aspire IQ has like all my information, like all my stats and stuff like that. And brands are on that website as well. So brands go and they look through all these influencers and they can kind of find you, or you can apply to campaigns. It could be either or. There's several different types of influencer platforms, and I'll list a few. But basically how Aspire IQ works is the brand can reach out to you, or you can reach out to the brand. So you'll have like your main screen and it'll have like campaigns. Campaigns are basically like brand deals, but they call them campaigns. So let's just say it's a campaign with Cheetos, right? So Cheetos has a campaign, they're like, and it's just, they're just like little paragraphs, like there's a whole bunch of campaigns. But let's just say this Cheeto one, it's like, oh, we're looking for a influencer in the DFW area. They're looking for like one Instagram post. And then say you're interested, so you click I'm interested. It'll kind of give you what they expect from you. They want an Instagram post, Instagram story, and a swipe up, or whatever it may be. And sometimes certain brands require certain followers, and everything's listed out there. So if I like this campaign, I really want to apply, and I really want to do it, I will apply to that campaign. And sometimes they'll ask you, well, how much do you charge for a post? Basically, you're just going to enter your media kit rates on there, and then you just kind of wait around for a response. Sometimes they'll respond and say, hey, it wasn't a good fit. And then sometimes they'll say, hey, yes, we'll love to work with you, and you move forward. Other influencer platforms that I use and they work for me, like I said, Aspire IQ, there's Maverick, there's Social Native, there's Grapevine, Logic, there's, what else do I use? Obviously, there's Shelf, there's Clever. There's so many, and I'll list them down below. But those are all websites that you can connect your Instagram and basically get brand deals, and basically just be in an area where brands can find you and you can find brands. I know I'm not like the greatest at this, like I'm just sharing like what works for me, okay? But yeah, so if you're a micro influencer, definitely connect to those influencer platforms, and that's like a great way to start working with brands, and you don't have to send like this whole email to them. It's just a simple click, I'm interested, I want to work with you, and then they'll reply back. It's very easy. It just kind of facilitates the process, because if you're going through email, it can be a lot. Like it's just a lot. It can be pretty lengthy. Not all of them are paid, and some are just trade, and then some are paid. And yeah, so that's like a great way to get started if you are looking to work with brands. Another tip that I would like to share is making sure your Instagram is aesthetically pleasing, because honestly, before my Instagram, I just kind of posted whatever. Like, I didn't care. Not that I didn't care, I wasn't educated on like what a theme it was and what a preset was. I really encourage you guys to use presets, and you don't even have to use a preset, but just have like great quality pictures. Something that if someone goes to your page, you're like, wow, she takes great pictures, or wow, that's like a cool shot, that's a fun way to shoot something, or like whatever it may be. Just because I feel that brands do pay attention to that. That's not always the case. Some brands don't even care how your Instagram looks. If you hear Cheetos, Celine's eating Cheetos, I'm sorry. Some brands don't even care how your Instagram looks, but some brands do. And I found like having a theme on my Instagram really helped me, and I feel like more brands noticed me. So if you don't know what a preset is, go to Etsy. They're like $5. You get 4 presets. Basically, a preset is a filter, and you apply that to all of your pictures. That way they all kind of match, I guess, like color-wise. They all kind of match, and it just makes your Instagram look nice, pretty, and clean, and obviously like aesthetically pleasing. Another tip I would recommend is using your hashtags in your locations. So one thing that I always do anytime a brand finds me, I always ask like, hey, how did you find me? And they all say this, like all the time. They always say, oh, we just searched DFW blogger or DFW influencer. Because brands, like, if they reach out to you, you're just thinking like, well, how did they find me, right? And it's because I use my hashtags. So I use, if it's a picture of myself, every picture is different, but if it's a picture of myself, I will put hashtag blogger, hashtag lifestyle blogger. I would put hashtag influencer, hashtag Latina blogger, like so many blogging hashtags, right? I specifically like to use like my locations, because when brands are looking for influencers sometimes, and they're going based off of like a location, they will, instead of typing like Texas blogger, and they want to focus on like Fort Worth or Dallas, whatever. That's why I like to use DFW blogger, DFW influencer, DFW lifestyle blogger, stuff like that. And if you're a food blogger, DFW food blogger, whatever it may be. But using hashtags is so important, because that's how brands find you. And I know that for a fact, because I've always, every brand that I work with, I ask them, how do you find me? And they always say hashtags, and they're very open. Like, they're not gonna just say, oh, we can't tell you. They always tell you. And let's just say if I'm posting a picture of a food, because sometimes I get invited to like events and it's like more of a food event, and you're thinking, well, shouldn't that be more of like a food blogger? I consider myself a lifestyle influencer blogger, because I do everything. I'm not just fashion, I'm not just food, I'm not just motherhood. I do everything. I share everything, the whole lifestyle, you know what I mean? But if I do post a picture of a food, I will then change my hashtags and put like hashtag food blogger, hashtag foodie, hashtag DFW foodie, hashtag whatever, just something with food. And I feel like that's helped me kind of get more brand deals with food companies. Like I said, every post is different. If it's a picture of Celine, I change my hashtags to hashtag kids fashion, hashtag baby blogger, baby influencer, toddler style, just stuff like that, motherhood, mommy and me. And there may be a brand out there that's looking to collab with a mommy and me, and they'll search hashtag mommy and me, and my picture of Celine will come up. They'll click on my profile and see everything. You know what I mean? That's why hashtags just go a long way. Another tip that I recommend is posting every day. I know that's a lot to ask for, and I know it's hard, because getting content, I know like sometimes I just want to lay in bed, but sometimes I'm like, you know, I gotta put makeup on and get some content and, you know, post. Do you have to post every day? Probably not, but I feel like what's worked for me is being consistent is key. Like, that is everything. I've noticed that when I was being more consistent in posting every day, minimum of 1 IG story and minimum of 1 Instagram post, that that I was getting reached out more by brands. If you watch any other video on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be, and that's like the platform you want to like grow on, everyone's going to tell you consistency is key. Like, that it's just so important. Because you're constantly coming up on people's feed, you're constantly coming up on the explore page. Whenever you're posting like that, Instagram sees it and they're like, wow, like this this girl's really like posting, like let me push her picture up a little bit higher. You guys know so Instagram algorithm is like all jacked up, so it's kind of hard to get noticed on Instagram already. So that's why I'm saying like being consistent is like super important. Another thing I recommend is engaging with your followers. Engaging, anytime someone leaves a comment, you better comment back. I don't care how many followers you have, like send a comment or like that comment just to let that person know like, hey, I see you, thank you so much for the support. It's just super important to have a real relationship with your followers. It's one thing if you have 10,000 followers and you get like 2 comments. When you see an influencer at 5,000 followers and they're getting like 30-40 comments on a post, and the reason for that is because that smaller influencer with 5,000 followers is interacting with their following and probably responding to DMs more, replying to comments and showing love back to their followers, rather that person with 10,000 followers not getting that much engagement, and that's because probably that person at 10K is not interacting with their followers. They're not commenting back, they're not answering DMs, they're not at least sending a heart, or they're not showing love back. One thing I feel that works for me in like growing and just interacting is I try for the most part, and I'm not perfect, I don't do this all the time, but for the most part I try to respond to every comment that I get, every DM that I get, and if I can't respond to a comment or a DM, I at least heart it and let them know, hey, I saw you. I probably don't have the time, I'm also a mom and I also have like another life, but I'm acknowledging you and I see you, and like I said, not every time, I can't do that all the time, but I try my hardest. That's always a goal of mine, to make sure that I am returning the love back. One thing I feel that works for me is anytime that someone leaves me a comment, I will go and click on their profile and I will go return the love, and at least like 5 or 10 posts, and then comment at one, just to let them know like, hey, thank you so much for showing love on my Instagram. Here's their love back. You know what I mean? So I totally recommend doing that. Like I said, I don't do it all the time, but I do try my best to do that. What else? I mean, there's so much and I'm probably gonna miss a lot, but if you guys like have any other questions and just kind of want to know more, like I'm more than happy to make other videos. I'm trying to think what else I recommend. All right, so I feel like I pretty much hit quite a few topics. These types of videos can get super long, and I know this one's already hella long, so we're gonna go ahead and stop there. If you guys have like any more questions, I'm gonna do like another Instagram post, like having you guys ask me, yummy, having you guys asking me questions. If you guys just kind of want to know more in depth about a media kit or how to actually pitch yourself to a brand, but I just kind of wanted to like put the basics out there, and you guys can kind of like take this. See, but now at least you guys know, and you have some kind of education about like what a media kit is, and you can take all this information and run with it like I did. So now you can go Google what a media kit is, how to build a media kit, what pitching is, you know, a little bit of what pitching is, you know, these influencer platforms that I told you about, and you can just kind of do more research. Alright guys, so that is all for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. But my camera keeps turning off. I don't know what's wrong. I still need to learn with it. It's new, so I need to just kind of play with it and figure it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.